Poppy Playtime just got a massive ARG update with some new security camera footage and another info card on some of the smiling critters. Hello everyone and welcome to another Poppy Playtime video. Today we are talking some really big interesting news. Now for the last few days we've had constant updates from Mob Games about the smiling critters since the VHS, about each one of their personalities and of course what they represent and also their scent. Now to bring you up to speed, I'm going to quickly go over every one of these smiling critters and talk about their biography as they've mentioned by Mob Games. So let's get this one out the way early and then we can talk about the big ARG news. So the first one is Bubba Bubbafunt. Bubba Bubbafunt is the brains of the critters, bright and attentive. He keeps his friends steady and always steers them to make smart choices. That way, they all might grow up to be bright and brilliant, each in their own right, and their scent is lemongrass. Next we have Bobby Bearhug, a kind, caring soul. Bobby Bearhug shows compassion for everyone and for everything. People and places and things, large or small, are all receivers of her love. Each is enriched by this attention and affection, and in turn, so is she. And her scent is rose. Now keep an eye out for Bobby Bearhug because we will see her again in the future of the video. Next is Crafty Corn, a conscious observer of both colour and creativity in the world. Crafty Corn understands the importance of art and is sharing it with others. Crayons, pencils, paint, or words on the page. Crafty Corn can see beauty in anything imagined given shape. And their scent is jasmine. Next we have Kickin' Chicken. This is Kickin' Chicken, the cool kid of the crew, and he maintains that sense of cool through anything. Even in the most tense of situations, knocking him down, he'll pick himself up, brush himself off, and ask, what's next? His scent is Lang Lang. And after this we get Dog Day. This is Dog Day, the sunny, strong and determined leader of our critters. Each trusts him to find the bright side in any situation and to have a friendly word of encouragement should they feel down. He'll always keep his friends going, no matter what, and his scent is vanilla. Next is Picky Piggy. What's more important than play and learning? Picky Piggy knows the answer. A playful body and keen mind are fueled by what's put into them, which is why she encourages her friends to eat a well-balanced diet. Secretly, PB&Js are her favourite food, and her scent is citrus. Next is Hoppy Hopscotch, unafraid to hop where others might sit. Hoppy is the friend everyone needs to maintain their energy and enthusiasm. While sometimes loud or impatient, she'll always hop beside her friends, even if it means slowing up once in a while to keep to their pace. Her scent is peppermint. And of course, finally, we get Catnap. Catnap is a calming presence for the critters and ensures he and his friends always have the right amount of sleep to jumpstart the morning's play. End of the day, there's nothing Catnap enjoys more than watching his friends sleep soundly, and his scent is lavender. Now, for the keen-eyed viewers, you will notice that in the top left corner of Catnap's biography, there is a Morse code. Now, once translated down, this message then turns into omen. So, of course, a bad omen is coming, and I think, with everything that's coming in the future, that is Catnap, and we should be alarmed. But there is one thing that I do find quite interesting about this message, and of course, it's who is the message from? Now, I think I'm going to be able to make a completely different theory on this, but just to touch upon the video, I do think this message is actually from Experiment 1006, in a similar fashion that we see in the VHS of the Kissy Missy tape with the Bigger Bodies Initiative. So, anyway, with that being said, let's get on to some of the juicy parts of this updated ARG. So first, I want to talk about the email. So the email that has come freshly into the inbox of Leif Pierre is Subject RE ALOT 1994 SC05G45B. Now, of course, those look to be sort of codes, of course, the SC05 and G45B. They seem important, but I think it's going to be code for a specific experiment or a specific character within the game, and of course the references. And of course, I think 1994 is the date this email has arrived from, or when the report was initially filed. So the actual text of the email is, we're going through the dolls now. They definitely don't smell like lavender, and the stuff coming out isn't the usual clear mist. but a smoky red. I have no idea what this is, but we'll want to run this up the line because it's almost definitely what's been causing parents to complain to our customer service team. So, there's the confirmation that within inside the factory a sabotage is going on, and again, this leads me to believe it's something to do with Experiment 1006 taking control over Catnap, or influencing Catnap, or Theodore, or they could well be the same person. And I think throughout sort of the development of these toys, I think Catnap is going around and changing it all to the red gas that we know of, the toxic gas, not the nice scented ones that were marketed to children and parents alike before. More alarmingly, we now know that Playtime Co. has no control over what's going on anymore. This is where I believe the downfall starts to happen. Also, within the file system as well, there's a few documents containing a report about Theodore and, of course, the Green Hand. Now, I'm going to show a bit of it all, of course, on screen, but I won't read through it because it is quite a long set of documents. But again, it talks more about the encounter with Theodore and what they think in assessment. And Playtime Co. hired a private investigator, or an investigator within Playtime Co. called Gerald Lockhart. And his conclusion I will read out because that's basically a good old gist of it. Whatever your influencer is, it wanted a way out. What's strange is it got just that, but it didn't take it. Instead, it chooses to carry the boy to Star, to save him, to blow its cover. Had it not intervened though, the boy likely wouldn't have made it. Whoever this was, perhaps it cared in its way. Doesn't excuse what happened, obviously, but still, be grateful that it means Theodore is alive to tell. Now, I think this is relating to Catnap, or again, Experiment 1188. There must be a type of connection here that we're not seeing very early on. But again, we'll get more into that as I imagine Chapter 3 gets released and every other little bit. And of course, there is one other bit of information that we do need to talk about, and that's the cross-department report. And this gives us some good, juicy information about Catnap and the experiment. So of course, it begins. Dr. Harley Sawyer, on behalf of research, it has been 3 months since 1188's procedure and 1 month since his introduction to play care. I'm pleased to say he has taken to his task like fish to water, meeting virtually everyone of the objectives we set for him. The initial procedure has its challenges, taking 4 hours longer than we had hoped. Still, his mental test metrics were virtually unchanged from pre-op. Now that he's on the job, as if it were, we can say for certain that the outcome has been a resounding success, rivaling that of even 1170. And then we come on to Stella on behalf of Playcare. When the children first saw this bigger body's Catnap, half of them were terrified. More than one burst into tears. I can't say I didn't expect this. The other department heads will note I was never a fan of using 1188 in Playcare for this exact reason. The good news is that in time, since many of the children have warmed to him, some of them even consider him a friend now. He's gentle, even a bit shy, and I think the kids find that enduring. The ones still wary of him at least now accept his presence without fuss. I still have reservations about how he is used, but I admit his overall impact on Playcare operations has been a positive one. And from Leif Pierre, head of innovation, 1188 has calmed down a lot in recent weeks. There were issues regarding erratic behaviour after the experiment, but those seem to have been ironed out, and Catnap has been integrated into Playcare without much issue. That's not to say I still don't have concerns. The relationship between 1188 and 1006 could pose a problem, at least somewhere down the line. Anytime the two are in a room together, 1188 follows 1006 around like a lost puppy. It's an odd sight, and what's more is 1006 doesn't seem to mind, or if he does, he's not showing it. If I remember correctly, Lockhart had some theories on the matter back in 89, but I'm not convinced of anything either way. What I know is this: Catnap may be docile now, but he's highly impressionable, especially to anything the prototype says or does. I worry how quickly his behaviour could change depending on the whims of that temperamental thing. Now, this brings up massive questions about the characteristics of 1006. And I'm going to go out on a whim here and say I'm, one, going to do a big video on it on its own entirely, because there's a lot going on there that needs unpacking. But I actually think we might now know who 1006 is. And I say this because of the Catnap following them around like they were best friends, if you will, like the yin to yang, the sun to moon. And if that was an indication, I think 1006 could well be based off Dog Day. But that is a theory for another time. Let's continue with the video. Okay, now on to the juicy stuff. So we have new images and new CCTV of the factory and what's going on in Playcare, as I can assume that this is where the footage is from. So on the one image we see a hallway looking to be sort of a prison or a holding type deal. Either way, this is the area that we see in one of the teaser images that were posted by Mob a few weeks ago. And I think we're looking at where they keep the non-believers or whoever doesn't like the cause. I think this is where they stay. And we know Catnap has been here before, or any other type of animal, because we do see claw marks on the floor. So something has been attacked, and of course we can see any sort of toys broken and just thrown into a pile. More importantly, we do see marks on the wall. Now they are quite hard to make out, especially with the static and everything in between, but there is something there. But more importantly with this, we can actually see towards the end of the video, around the 1 minute and I believe it's 40 mark, one small toy that we aren't aware of actually walks through the area without a care in the world. Now, remember in the earlier part of the video when I said we're going to see Bobby again, this is who I think it is. I think we're seeing Bobby patrol the area. Now, the question remains, is Bobby a neutral AI, or is she going to be an enemy? And I think this kind of suggests that she's going to be an enemy. I think she's going to be a patrolling critter. It's just crazy to me to think that we're going to see the Playtime Co critters, the smiling critters, just walking around, well, some of them. And I think it's quite an intriguing thought, because it seems that Bobby definitely has a plan of action, because she does, again, as you can see in the video, she walks off to the left. And again, there must be a massive holding down here of where they hold these critters that don't believe, or just employees or toys that aren't behaving correctly to their standards. So it's intriguing to think that we're going to see Bobby in a bad light. Next, we have a pretty much uneventful sort of security footage, but I actually think this is going to hold a lot more weight than we initially thought. I actually think we're seeing the machine create the gas while the factory's basically out of service. I think we're looking at the toys or these creatures using anything they can to manufacture more of this gas and then maintain more control within the hour of joy or whatever it is, and just relating to this gas. Of course, nothing's going on in particular that I can see within itself. You know, we can just see the pistons moving up or down. Perhaps we are looking at, of course, a playable level. But with that being said, let's move on to the most important security footage as of today. So, in this next security footage, we can see a security camera, again, which is really alarming on its own, in the Playcare bedroom room, like dorm, if you will. Like, of course, it's just a big room with lots of beds where the children or the orphans would sleep. And of course, you can expect the room to be decorated in a lot of kids stuff, beddings, you know, all the usual stuff. But basically, it's not good news. Not to mention the markings on the wall and the fact that it just looks super worn down and just not used for the longest time. And of course, I think we can all see why. So, in the left or center of the image, we can of course see Catnap and his beading eyes staring, more importantly, staring down into the camera like it knows we're here. We can also see a bit of a sway as well, and for the keen eye among you, I think it's safe to say that Catnap is actually upside down on the ceiling, but his head is fully rotated so it's level with the security camera, which is highly alarming to say the least. And also we can see his moon necklace type amulet thing swaying as he rocks side to side as he holds onto the ceiling, waiting to pounce on the next victim. And also we know he's this way up because if you look towards further at the back, you can actually see his tail swaying from side to side because it gets obstructed a bit by the light in the darkness. So we can already tell from this alone that we know Catnap is going to vary in size, because we know in this image alone that he is as big as one of the beds, judging by his head shape and of course the way he must hold himself on the ceiling. It's also interesting to note here that the room is somewhat chain locked, or padded, or prison locked if you will. Makes me wonder if earlier that we were right about it being a holding, but just in general the whole area is a holding, not just where we saw earlier. Now, what's interesting about this is we're learning a lot about the characteristics of these critters, and especially Catnap, because one thing that's quite interesting is Catnap is still here. He's not trying to do anything more like Experiment 1006. He's staying, he's causing problems, he's attacking, he's protecting his home, or what he thinks is his home. It seems, and maybe this is just me, but throughout all the evidence that we've seen so far and all the lead up to Catnap, I don't actually think Catnap was originally a bad character, especially when transitioning to, you know, an alive toy. I actually think Catnap has a lot of emotional ties to the children within Playcare, and I think that's where this bond comes from. So I think Catnap is here in the factory to protect the other toys. Now, what will be interesting is if Catnap actually protects us, the player, or are we an enemy? But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm really excited to hear any more news that comes from all this ARG, and of course a trailer. I'm so excited. Let me know what you think. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit subscribe and like, do all the usual jazz, because, you know, always helps the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments below, because again, there is a lot going on here. And of course, I will be touching up more on these subjects in the future with specific videos. And with that being said, of course, have a lovely morning, day or night, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next very video.